Hello, and welcome to part 2 of Melbourne's modern stations, where I list each station in Melbourne that has been built new or upgraded over the past 25 years, as well as describing a bit of history and political context that may have influenced the design of these stations. In part 2, we'll take a look at stations that were built new or upgraded between 2009 and 2014. During the 2000s, Victoria had been ruled under the Braxton-Brumby Labor governments, who in their initial early years mainly focused on improving regional rail. With the exception of a couple of electrification projects, there was initially little new investment for Metropolitan Rail, which left the government unprepared for what was to come. During the 2000s, patronage on the Metropolitan Rail network boomed. So much so that from 2000 to 2010, patronage nearly doubled from 130 million boardings per year to 219 million. This boom was caused by a combination of population growth, changing employment trends including a stronger CBD, higher petrol prices, and changing community attitudes towards public transport. The government initially responded with the 2006 Meeting Our Transport Challenges policy document, which proposed modest improvements to the network including extra services, track capacity upgrades, and new and upgraded stations. This was only superseded 2 years later in 2008 by the Victorian Transport Plan, which proposed much larger and substantial transport projects including new trains, rail extensions, and the Metro Rail Tunnel. Some projects identified were funded shortly after, including the electrification of the line to Sunbury, the South Moraine Rail Extension, and the massive Regional Rail Link project, which was partly funded by the federal government. However, in some respects, this new investment was too late. By this time, the Metropolitan Rail network was under immense pressure from the extra patronage. Overcrowding during peak hours and falling reliability became a serious problem, with numerous high-profile infrastructure failures bringing the networks to its knees. So bad were the network's problems that public transport became a key issue at the 2010 state election. Despite Brumby being a favourite to win the election, the result went the other way with the election of the Bellevue coalition government, who ran a platform of fixing the issues left by Labor. Under the Bellevue and later Napthine governments, reliability on the Metropolitan Rail network improved thanks to increased funding and maintenance, and new timetables with extra services which helped to reduce overcrowding. As well as deliver some projects left by their predecessors, they also started a couple of grade separation projects which saw several new stations built. I'll allude to what happened in this period more in the next part of the series. So what did this period mean for train stations and their design? Well, whether it was in response to higher patronage or perhaps the need to try and promote public transport as a more attractive option, or whether it was just a natural evolution in architecture, train stations in Melbourne became a lot larger and bolder in their design during this period. Stations such as North Melbourne, Nunawading and South Moraine looked drastically different from stations that were constructed just a couple of years prior. Gone were the days when the station was just a simple platform with a small shelter. These new stations were designed to be more like local landmarks, almost monument-like, and use different materials including wood and colour panelling, cladding, lighting and skylights to give the station a more premium look. Even some of the more basic designs during this period, such as Westall and Coolaroo, were much larger and had more amenities than stations that were constructed in the years prior. Stations also became more accessible during this time thanks to Transport Minister Terry Mulder, who changed the accessibility requirements for all new stations. With all the context out of the way, let's look at the new and upgraded stations during this period.
Street service now on platform 1. 11 o'clock Flinders Street service, platform 1.
And that wraps up part 2 of the series. In the next part, we'll take a look at stations that have been built new or upgraded between 2015 and 2018. Thanks for watching.